Hello, I'm Monique Pangari, a somatic experiencing practitioner and Level 4 registered counsellor with the Australian Counselling Association. You may be here because you were adopted and you want support from someone who understands. You may be here because you're a birth mother or birth father who has relinquished a child. You may be here because you're a family member who's been impacted by adoption in your current or intergenerational family. You may be here because you're an adoptive parent or foster carer and you want to understand your child and your role better so you can be the best parent you can be. Or you may be here because you're a counselling therapist, case manager or support worker who has clients who have experienced parent-infant separation. Whatever has brought you to my website, I welcome you. Finding a qualified therapist with lived experience as an adoptee who is experienced in working with trauma and attachment disruption and who has training and experience in post-adoption specific counselling is extremely difficult, which is why I've developed this service. I understand that in a society where adoption is seen as a problem-solving event filled with joy, adoption-related losses are difficult to both mourn and express. Grief is disenfranchised in a myriad of ways and often conducted in secret. Finding professional services that don't mirror this silence and secrecy, but rather acknowledge, validate, and hold space for the inevitable complex grief is vitally important for adopted people, birth family, and adoptive parents and foster carers. Through research, listening to the voices of adoptees, and from personal experience, I know that adoptees and their families will likely encounter numerous challenges over their life course, and that facing at least one of the following is what brings adoptees into counselling. Common challenges many adopted people experience include feeling easily rejected or abandoned, difficulties in relationships with loved ones, for example, feeling highly anxious and needing closeness and reassurance that the other will stay, or wanting connection but always keeping others at a distance. Needing to feel in control, which can lead to issues of perfectionism, compulsion, or high achievement. Over-analysing social interactions. Over-explaining oneself so as not to be misunderstood. Feeling hurt from secrecy, inaccurate information, or untruths surrounding one's adoption, and a subsequent sense of betrayal. This is particularly pertinent when adoptees discover their adoptive status later in life. Feelings of isolation, loneliness, and low self-worth stemming from a sense of not belonging or fitting within one's family. Feeling obligated to show gratitude throughout one's life. Significant loyalty conflicts with one's adoptive family, particularly when discussing the personal impact of adoption and when search and contact is considered. Identity challenges or a compromised sense of self, often wondering, who am I and where do I belong? Experiencing secondary rejection from biological family after the search and reunion honeymoon is over. Being a member of two families, yet not really feeling a connection to either. Lost opportunities to meet family members due to death before reunion. Loss of cultural understanding and belonging. Colour blindness in adoptive families. Feeling loved by adoptive family, yet still feeling the loss stemming from adoption. Facing the vulnerability of one's loss when becoming a parent or when losing a parent. Suicidal ideation or a sense of just not wanting to be here. Issues with body image, self-harm, and or addiction. Symptoms of anxiety, depression, and emotion dysregulation. A struggle to maintain dignity when confronted by overwhelming facts related to one's biology or birth story. Microaggressions and gaslighting from non-adopted people. Closed conversation about adoption in the adopted family. ADHD stemming from relinquishment trauma. Loyalty to adoptive family, which can override one's own needs. As an adopted person myself, I understand that you want warmth, connection, attunement, and to be supported by someone who not only has been there, but has been trained in current psychological research and practice, has clinical experience supporting many others, and who has incorporated what they've learned into their own healing journey from adoption. Furthermore, the power of community for adopted people cannot be overstated. The high rates of suicide, eating disorders, addiction, and mental health diagnoses in our community is alarming. Adoptees can no longer be left to identify, make sense of, and manage the many unseen and misunderstood microaggressions and trauma symptoms on their own. These result from relinquishment trauma, from complex grief, from attachment disruption, from identity loss, from the search and reunion roller coaster, and from exclusionary systemic record keeping and decision making. Research shows that purposefully sharing with others who have experienced similar loss and oppression can help alleviate confusion, validate one's experience, disrupt shame, increase compassion, and empower individuals to grow beyond their pain and current circumstance. At Healing Adoption Trauma, as we build resources, offerings, and opportunities to connect, we want you to be the first to receive them as part of our community. We want to grow our community into a supportive, loving presence, a place of true belonging. You can join our mailing list to receive information about workshops, podcast episodes, offerings, gatherings, and resources developed to alleviate suffering, educate about trauma, enhance belonging, and empower adoptees to live their best life from their most authentic self. Please have a read of my website, follow our podcast, join an online webinar, and sign up for my monthly newsletter to find out more about healing adoption trauma, deconstructing and decolonising adoption. If you'd like to make an appointment for counselling, just click the book appointment button to find a time that works for you. You don't need a mental health care plan, you simply need to reach out. I look forward to meeting you in person or online in the coming weeks, months or years.